Over there. I'll go and have a look at them.
Thomas and you reside in Whitehurst.
Well, I'm living
I complain.
in you live here.
I live here. Died up here and was the minister of the church here till he died relatively young, I think through malaria. With Samuel Drew, the Wanganui Public Museum's founder, and together during this time the organ had become damaged. So Drew repaired it and was known to crank it regularly at the museum. Its first playing at the museum, residents in Wanganui may remember paying an extra penny to hear the organ being played when the museum was still at what is now the Savage Club building. In 1937, further renovations were carried out on the organ, and for 5 him from...
Well, I remember that I could play the organ a bit, and it asked me to play for it. And so I dashed in through the door very late and played for Evensong, and I've played this organ since. But well, just to give you an idea of what it sounds like, I'll just play it in two if I can get it going.
Earlier there was also another professional organ player in the audience too.
Oh, if we've got someone professional.
If you should feel like a reach.
Yeah, no, I like to make someone who's a professional organ player. Who's that?
Who's that? No, not me. Not me for organ.
Oh, I thought you had it as a professional. You'll hear it probably played on Sunday.
Very sorry that...
Either that or you get a... Are you okay waiting? So was one of the other ferries I don't know. It was
Welcome everyone to Pai here, and if you have a chance, please come to... Oh, sorry. If you have a chance, please come to our Williams House exhibition. That's my grandparents' house in Williams House behind the village green. We set that up. It gives a very simple history of the Williams family and my immediate family in particular, and because my grandparents, Percy and May, after my grandfather had been a missionary in the Solomon Islands in the early 1900s. I think he caught the bug from his grandfather, and he felt that at times he was involved in far worse time than Henry had here. But he was a missionary in the Solomon Islands, and then he came back to Auckland and was the warden at St John's College. And then during the First World War, although he was nearly 50, he went over and was a chaplain with the New Zealand forces in Egypt. And he came back to Auckland, continued being warden until he came and retired up here and was the minister of the church here till he died relatively young, and I think through malaria and probably overwork. But the house there, we used to spend our summer holidays in Williams House because my aunt lived there after my grandmother died, and it was like a paradise in those days. We flew from Christchurch up in the DC-3 and landed at Kaikoui and drove, and we our kids in the back, no seat belts. We can see the sea, we can see the sea, and the beach along the front there where the wharf is now is a beautiful clear sandy beach, and the village green was our hay paddock with our cousins who had a house on the corner. Right. Williams barrel organ was manufactured in 1829 by a church and organ builder, Mr. A. Buckingham of London. The organ was sent from England by Reverend E.G. Marsh. That was the cousin, Lydia Williams, married Reverend Marsh, Henry's sister. And that was the man who married Henry and Mary Ann and got them interested in the CMS. So he sent it in November 1829 as a gift to his nephews, the Reverends Henry and William Williams, who was stationed here in the Church Missionary Society Maori Mission at Paihia. It arrived in August 1830 and was the first barrel organ brought into the country. Apparently it caused some pretty powerful reactions in the Maori listeners, with Reverend Henry Williams' wife writing in September 1830, all the females as well as the males met in the chapel to hear the new organ the first week it arrived, and I was glad the overpowering sensations which its full and melodious sounds produced and all the recollections it aroused were a little moderated before the Sabbath. Barrel organs are mechanical instruments constructed using a system of bellows and one or more layers of pipes housed in a decorative wooden case. And if you go to the museum in Wanganui, you can see it there. Unlike a traditional pipe organ, they are not played by an organist. Instead, the barrel organ is performed by a person turning a crank, and the pieces of music are encoded into wooden barrels which cause notes to sound as would a keyboard in a regular pipe organ. In 1898, the organ was given to Edward's son, the Reverend Alfred O. Williams, who was at that time visiting the Bay of Islands with Samuel Drew, the Wanganui Public Museum's founder, and together they brought the organ back to Wanganui. The Reverend Alfred Williams was later a member of the Museum Board of Trustees. During this time, the organ had become damaged, so Drew repaired it and was known to crank it regularly at the museum. Its first playing at the museum, after being repaired, was in the dead of night on Good Friday 1898, with Drew stating the tune seemed ghost-like and weird. Seemed as though the organ died years ago, yet was speaking the music to me, and me alone. Some of the older residents in Wanganui may remember paying an extra penny to hear the organ being played when the museum was still at what is now the Savage Club building. In 1937, further renovations were carried out on the organ, and for 5 years after that, a recital was held at the museum each Good Friday. In 1995, after the barrel organ's condition was assessed, it was discovered that necessary repairs to the case and mechanism had cost in the region of $12,000, and a fundraising campaign began. A concert series were held and a grant was obtained from the Turanga Trust in Napier, who gave the money to get it playing again. The barrel organ was most recently played as part of the museum's closing weekend gala on Saturday, September in 2016. Well, that's all I've got here, but it may well still be played. But where it's being played at the moment. But anyway, we're having Hugh play us a hymn from.
Well, I remember the last time I played this organ, I was late as well. And then I got a doctor, and my cousin Martin Warren, I'm pretty sure, was taking Evensong, and he knew that I could play the organ, and had asked me to play for it. And so I dashed in through the door very late and played for Evensong in 1973 at the reunion. So I haven't had a chance to look at it, this organ since, but just to give you an idea of what it sounds like, I'll just play it through it so I can get it going.
Apparently there is also another professional organ player in the audience too.
Oh, if we've got someone
if you should feel like a rest.
Yeah, no, I'd like if someone is a professional organ player. Who's that?
Who's that?
No, not me. Not next on the organ.
I thought you had him as a professional. The last thing I
He's near the bit. He's very close to the organ.
Right, see how we go.
While you were sitting down, what I understand from Ron is that barrel organ is the oldest one in the city. And this organ was you were about to play on is the second oldest organ.
Played on Sunday.
Very sorry.